Hello everyone and welcome to probably my long-awaited build video by many of you, as it is of course my main class, the MAGICKA NIGHTBLADE. And this is the Shadow Dancer build, as I like to call it, though it does not use that set. That set's kind of trash. And this build is a melee-based MAGICKA build. This is the first melee-based MAGICKA build I've brought out. I don't think there's even any of them out there at all in any of the platforms that I've seen running around, but I could be wrong. I think this build is very, very powerful. The burst damage of it is absolutely enormous, and I've played a lot with the counters, min-max the stats, all of that. I think there's not too many ways to counter this build right now. It really gets around most problems that MAGICKA has. It's in a great spot. The kite ability and survivability are very good. It can insta-kill almost every target, which I will demonstrate very soon. It's in a good place. It's sexy. It's sweet. It's a MAGICKA. If you're not a MAGICKA already, why not? It's the sexiest class in the world. So let's crack on with the build. Our sets, and this is pretty frisky. You're going to have to pay attention to traits. There's all sorts going on in this stuff. One Elambris, that's triglyphed on their helmet. The reason we go for triglyphs here is we would like a bit more stamina. That's to do with the food we're running. The stamina, although we get great sustain from siphoning attacks, reaching the amount that we're going to show you in soon, is pretty important. So we're triglyphed, and it is impen on the Elambris. One Groftar, that is MAGICKA glyphed, and it is impen as well. So we're going for 2 impen, 1 triglyph, big, small MAGICKA. Next one is an impen Stygian body. So that's our first 5-piece set. We'll come across where that pieces together in a sec. And that again is triglyphed and impen. Go with that. I promise you it's worth it. The other pieces of Stygian that we're running, okay, so Stygian is a weird set. It comes in robust jewelry and it comes in medium armor, but it is a MAGICKA-based set. How do we get around that? There is a named drop from the Wailing Moor, Northeast Cold Harbor, Stygian Moralos Torment, or however the hell you say that name. That is an arcane ring. It's only blue, but you only lose about 100 MAGICKA to run those. It's definitely worth it. Bang those on over there. Good. Happy days. So pop those in the bottom right corner. And you got some nice, easy stuff there. It should be very easy to get. Doesn't take too long. Maybe 20 minutes of farming to get to. Good shit. Our other Stygian is ran on the weapons then. And we are running sharpened weapons with the Flame enchant and the Undead enchant. Both of those enchants may proc. It's expensive to get those. They're extremely rare. Good luck finding them on the market. But it's so worth it. I promise you that. You want to get those weapons. Very strong. Very successful with this build. It's going to go well. So what the Stygian does is it gives you 126 spell damage, stamina, and MAGICKA. That stamina, again, is useful. It's not a wasted trait by any means. But the 5-piece is where things get really, really frisky. While you are sneaking or invisible, your spell damage and max MAGICKA is increased by 20%. Our MAGICKA and our spell damage in this build are huge. So when we are buffed up and stealthed, our damage potential, similar to my previous MAGICKA build playstyle, but the base damage potential of this build is so high. I mean, we can hit 60k MAGICKA nearly, 4k spell damage, and the rest. It hits really hard. The back bar is then a defending resto. And although it's a back bar, we're going to spend a lot of time on that bar. It's where our shields are. Most of the time, we're going to be holding off for our Merciless. Concealed Merciless dead. It's that simple. So in that case, we are running a weapon damage glyph and defending on that trait. Even though we're on there a lot, there's not many attacking skills there. We go with defending, in my opinion, and that is with the weapon damage enchant to give us 4-piece Stygian on that bar. You could theoretically run a 1-piece Master Resto staff in it. I'm sure someone will mention it in the comments, so I'll throw it before you do. That would give you a bit more MAGICKA than, of course, the 4-piece of the Stygian. If you went 3-piece Stygian instead of Master here. Except, of course, you wouldn't get your enchant, so you'd move the weapon enchant on here. I do have that. I just don't think it's worthwhile. I like it, this setup. I think the Flame Glyph helps to your burst a bit. I like this setup quite a lot. You could obviously run a poison somewhere. That's up to you. I'll leave that your choice. Up to you. But the rest of this stuff, you really have to pay attention on the next traits because it's pretty important you get this right. So, Necro is our other set. Bread and butter MAGICKA set, this one. Too good to miss. You can run 1-piece on the jewelry because you need to run those rings. That's really important that you run those. And that is an arcane, of course. And then the Necro armor is getting a bit messed up. We're running 1 divines, 2 divines, 3 divines there, and then 1 impen. So in total, we have 3 divines and 4 impen on our armor. And you'll notice that all of my big pieces are triglyphed. All of my small pieces are MAGICKA. Helping the stamina, helping the sustain. Divines is worth it. I'll explain why in a sec. We're tight on sustain, but it's just about enough to play the build in the way it wants to play open world. For that reason, I like those few divines. I think they help out a lot. So, that's the sets. A lot to talk to you about yet. Have some patience here. After sets, I'm doing the skills and champion points and all, but I'm going to show you how to play this build because it's got a lot of variation. It's a pretty complicated build, so have patience with me here, guys. The skills. Firstly, on our resto bar, we're running Shadow Image. That is just such a good skill. If you know how to use that effectively, it is the godsend of life. It is so good, such a fun skill, and so awesome to play with. So, what we can do with a Shadow Image is we place it down on our target, we run away from it, and then we cast Image. Ta-da. Easy. So it's a nice teleport. It's a small dot. It puts mine and maim on, which reduces their damage by 15%. 1 versus 1. Excellent. Still, because of that, it's a brilliant skill. You gotta play it. It's too good to miss. Next is Crippling Grasp. Excellent dot. Again, way too good to miss. The dot is huge. The base damage is nice. It roots. It gives you Major Expedition. Sexy. We're then running Healing Ward. Pretty obvious skill. I'm pretty sure most people know about that. And Harness. You could run Dampen there. It's a little tight on Sustain because of the next skill we're coming across. But in the case of this, I think Harness is worth it. I like the extra Sustain that it gives in open world situations. I don't really duel. It's not fun anymore. Just because of the mega tank, heavy attack, no damage meta. So in that case, I think the Harness Magicka is the way to go. You're most likely, if you get in a 1vx situation or small group situation or whatever you do, going to have at least some more Magicka on you. It's going to feed all of that Magicka back, so it's nearly free to cast. So in that sense, I prefer that. Our last skill. So I am going to get a lot of comments about this because this is a skill that in almost every situation I dislike. Magicka Nightblade is the only class where I consider this skill good. Someone is going to cry about it, but I'm going to throw it in anyway. Elusive Mist. So everyone will know what this does. This obviously makes me rapid. It means I can't be snared, rooted, etc. It gets me away from where I am. Why would you run that on a Nightblade when you've already got Cloak and Image, and you wouldn't run that on a DK, Tom? I'm going to show you why. So, I'm about to be a DK. Liz hits me, and I'm snared. I can either sit there, or I can misform. So I'm going to misform. Dum, 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 dum. I'm going to misform over here. I cast the wrong skill, and we go over here. Ta-da. But the reality is, in a fight, she's just going to follow me. She's going to stare at me, and I got no way of getting away from her. She's just going to keep gap closing, or she's going to sprint after me. I'm gaining no ground. Sure, I'm out of the route, but all I've done is waste Magicka. In the case of a Nightblade, which is why I consider the skill extremely good on a Nightblade, is I can do this. So, I place my image at all times in the fight. You want to stay away from your image. I get hit, say here, not too far from the image. I've got a 70% snare on me, or I'm rooted. I'm going to cast my misform. I'll be somewhere over here. They can't root me. They can't snare me. They've probably gap close to me a lot. And then I'm going to go gap close. My image just ran out because of stupid fucking dogs. Of course, the dogs hit me, man. Of course the dogs hit me. Let's do it again. Whatever. Bloody things. I didn't even know they were there. So I put my image up. I misform away. Misform away. Misform away. Get out of combat. And then I just cast my misform. And that way I'm instantly making space on my opponent with misform where otherwise you would not be able to do so. I think it is very important to do that. Veil is here passively. So my other bar, which I'll show you in a sec, has 2 shadow skills. In your shadow skill passives, you have this one here. Refreshing Barrier. For that, not that one. Fucking it's been too long. Dark Figure, there we go. Increase your max health by 3% for each shadow ability slotted. You want the same shadow ability amount on each bar if you physically can. It's nice to keep that health. Otherwise, when you bar swap, you're wasting stats. Unless you somehow run entropy, then you could sort of balance it out with shadows on your other bar. Otherwise, I like to keep that the same. We only need 1 ulti. It does the job for us. So in that case, I like running the Veil there for the extra health. Second bar now. So this is on the duel bar. We are running siphoning attacks, bread and butter sustain, great stamina sustain, great magic sustain, really good on a magic blade. Stamina, so-so, but on a magic class, excellent, brilliant. Don't skip it. Next skill, Merciless Resolve. This is our kill. I'll show you how much damage that does in a sec. Such a good skill. It's a huge damaging ability. Takes a bit of time to build up. So after 4 light attacks, we are getting a big synergy that we can cast. It does a bow. It hits really hard. Don't block cancel that bow. It has a It's like 0.5 or 1 second cast time that you can't see, not interruptible. But if you block cancel it, you'll kill it off. So make sure you don't do that. But in that case, make sure it's slotted. It's also giving you minor berserk, which is similar buff to slime crawl. It's a great, great skill. Next is conceal weapon. So this is our base DPS, but we are not over spamming it. Most of the time, when we are building up for our merciless, we're buffing. We're keeping our siphoning attacks up, shields up, cripple up, image up. 1 conceal weapon, and then probably the kills. It's all going to come in synergy, and I'll show you the different rotations you could try in a sec. Again, it's complicated, a lot of variations to the playstyle. Next is Cloak. This is how we're going to generate our damage with our Stygian. Obviously, we're only getting that buff whilst invisible. Cloak is going to give us that 2.9 seconds invisibility and a guaranteed crit, which really pairs well with the Stygian set. And lastly is Inner Light Extra Magicka. It's given us a lot of extra Magicka. It's not good to skip that. Bang it on. Ultimate. I personally have tried a few ultimates here. I prefer Soul Tether to everything else. You could use like an Assassination ultimate, such as Soul Harvest. That's this one here. For a cheaper one, I think that Tether's better. The reason I like Tether is because it's hard hitting and a CC, and that CC is handy. Having a CC on your ultimate really generates your damage because you go into stealth, use your ultimate, they're down on the floor, and then you cast your Merciless if you don't get them your other combinations. So I'm going to go through the food now, champion points, and then we're going to show you his combinations. Hang about. I know it's a long video, but there's a lot you have to know. So into our food and all of that. Stats. This is unbuffed. Please remember that. There's a lot of buffs go into this. 45k Magicka, 24k health nearly, 1.9k magical recovery. This is all without continuous attacks, of course. Not legendary rage or anyone like that. We don't shove that in. 2.2k spell damage, and we are 44% crit. Decent stats. Nice. Just remember that crit is obviously guaranteed, though, if we are coming from the cloak. So in that case, crit, not too relevant. And our crit resist is still 2.1k. We're generating that through our few impen and then our CP to balance out for the extra divines. Our Munus is the Atronach for the extra recovery. You could go the mage and change to a recovery piece if you think you over-sustain, but you're not going to over-sustain because of misform. You don't recover whilst in misform. You need a decent-sized recovery pool to recover after your misforms. With Vampire, the extra regen pairing pretty well with this build, and the Undeath's going well with the shield stacking. I like it. I think it's worth taking. And our food is Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which gives us max health, max magicka, and magical recovery. But those triglyphs allow us to get a decent amount of stamina pool. We are then using spell power pots, so that's where our major sorcery comes from. Obviously, you'll notice I don't have sap or entropy. That's where we're getting that from. It's a nice way to go. It pairs well. It's good. I promise you that's what you want around. Champion points now. Green tree, pretty easy on this one. Blue tree's getting a little complicated in the red tree as well. But in this one, 100 in Magician, 76 in Arcanist, 2 in Tenacity for our heavy resto attacks. Scale's pretty good. Might as well stick a couple in there. And 22 in Tumbling. You don't want to put any less than that. If you find you're running out of stamina, put 31 in there. It also scales pretty good. Don't put less than 22. You're going to feel it on your stamina pool pretty quickly if you do choose to dodge or you're getting heavily CC'd in a fight. In the blue tree, big variation here. We're running 2 in Blessed, 55 in Elfborn for that crit damage, 13 in Spell Erosion for the heavier targets, 100 in Elemental Expert base damage, 28 in Shattering Blows. This is really handy against Sorks. You're really going to notice those points. And 2 in Firmatouch, that's just for cripple, but it scales good again. A few points, good scaling. Red tree now, 52 in Resistant. That's to balance out those divines. 6 in Fixed Skin, 43 Elemental Defender and Hardy. And then we're down to 55 in Bastion. So there's 2 combinations I play on a Magic class. You'll see this in my Sork. Either you go 73 Bastion, 55 and shove the rest in Fixed Skin and crit. Or you go 43, 55 and stack in crit. In the case of this build, because of the loss of the impen, I like the crit resist. Even though we're shield stacking, fixes the problem. So I like it. Right, let's get on to some skill combinations here. So first things first, we're going to do an insta-kill. This is how much damage we get, but we're going to show the stats first. So I'm going to pop a pot. I'm going to pop my image. I'm going to cast onto this bar. I'm going to light attack. That's going to pop my weapon damage glyph. Then I'm going to go cloak, and that's where you're going to see my stats. So we are... It's not yet procced, wait. Stygian takes a bit of time to show on your tooltip, unfortunately, so you won't see my weapon damage. 58k Magicka. We're actually reaching about 4k spell damage, fully buffed with the light attack and all of that. So that's where we're getting that. And a recovery at 2.1k with the pot, of course. Next is going to be our general one-shot. So this is our base damage. This is in a pretty squishy build here. I haven't hit less than 13k yet. That's the lowest I've hit unblock on a full heavy target. And considering that's not even necessarily from stealth, you can generate a ton of damage here. So we're going to pop our pot. We're going to pop an image up. We're going to pop Merciless. We're going to light attack, empower, cloak, cast skill, and dead. 21k on pretty high crit resist. I actually don't know what crit resist. Let me ask what a crit resist and spell resist is. And that is, again, without the weapon damage proc, because the weapon damage proc goes down by the time you've done that. So in a real fight, you will feel that. We're going to pop the image up again. And this time we're going to make sure we get the proc. So there's the weapon damage proc. We're going to wait a little bit on the next 2 casts. And now, 1, 2, free. Pop, pop, and go. And that way we get the proc on. So we're hitting about 21k, give or take, on that damage. And that's the base damage there. The other combination that we have for the kill, sort of base damage, is obviously our, what's it called? Conceal weapon. So we go into stealth, we go under, and we hit. And that's 9k crit. If we empower, we're going to hit about 10k plus. Yeah, you go, 10k pretty much. We're hitting hard on that. So we're going to have dots ticking. Let me just tell it to heal. And I'm going to show you the different variations. So, variation number 1, and you want to mix this up in a fight. You cannot let yourself get predictable. We're going to place our image. We're going to place our cripple. We're going to go into cloak, merciless. It's ready, and we're going to cast cloak. That's our first rotation in most fights. It's getting a CC. She's not healing. It's getting a CC. It's getting her down. It's getting our dots up. We're then going to reapply cripple. We're going to go in, get siphoning attacks up. Probably going to shield. Replace image. Pot comes up. Our merciless is ready. And then we go in. And we got 2 choices. We can either use the merciless there, or we can use the concealed. So if we do this quickly real fast. Let me just tell us to heal, because it's going to be quite a lot of damage. I'm going to play this exactly as I would in a fight. So light attack, shield, light attack cast, light attack image, light attack siphoning attacks, light attack merciless. That's our first one. That's if we're going from out of stealth. So if we're getting a target that we can't cloak against much, we go that way. Next rotation, we can go light attack harness, light attack cripple, light attack siphoning attacks, light attack concealed, light attack cloak, merciless. And that's where we're getting the damage from stealth. Though I just stole the empower on my cripple, which is unfortunate. Doesn't happen often. The final one, which in my opinion is your best chance of getting a kill against a tankier target, and again, I'm not empowering any of this to make sure, is place image, siphoning attacks, go in for the siphoning attacks there, go in cloak, conceal weapon to the stealth, and then drop your merciless. And that way you're going to get the CC and the high damage, and that's where most of your kills are going to come from against most targets. But, let me get it up. The other combination you could go is, of course, merciless. There's a lot of playstyles. First, aggressive with concealed. Forget about merciless until you're in kill range. Second, go concealed merciless for the kill. Third is ulti merciless. So Salter the merciless. Fourth is going to be the one that I'm going to show you now, which is the insta-kill. So we're going to place our dots up, and then we're just going to kill. So imagine that we've done all of our buffs. We've got all of that shit up. We drop all of our stuff. 1, 2, bum, bum. We're going to go empower. We're going to go cloak. And we're going to stick on as the dot comes. And just kill with a surprise stack at the end. So that's where our damage generation is coming from. The damage base is super high in stealth. I can't advise this enough, okay? You have to vary up where you are moving. If you don't vary the rotation styles, it's too predictable. So if you always go into cloak and cast your concealed, or you always go in cloak and merciless, they're gonna block, or they're gonna dodge. How I would advise playing that is what I'm gonna show you on this rotation. So we're gonna do this in a way that are against a real target, all right? In a real fight, we are not just gonna go cloak ability. There's always gonna be a pause. So what we're gonna do instead, perhaps, even just cloak. And in a real fight, we might go for a heavy rest to attack away from them. Or we're going to go, imagine we had an image up here. We might cloak, 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 cloak to here. Cast the image, we're away. Image up, heavy attack. So vary the things you do. If you need resources for a heavy attack, maybe you go into your cloak and you cripple down. And then back into cloak concealed. Just keep the variation high. The more predictable your rotation is, the more trouble you're going to have. Like I said, guys, this build is not easy to play. If you're not experienced, it's going to take practice. But it's as simple as playing a varied build. Final combo to show before we end this video is the main burst. So image down, cripple down, conceal weapon. We're going to let her heal. We go empower, cloak, pop, ulti tether. And that's going to be your bread and butter for a kill if you're in a dueling situation or 1v1 because it's nice, or if you've got a lot on you. Survivability wise, you're going to generate in different ways. So that's your damage. Now we're going to go to survival. Survival is going to be generated from your shield stacking, your movement, and your base skills. So 3 different ways to do that. First is to go with your image. If she accepts. Nice. First way to avoid your damage here is to go with your image. We're going to place an image. We're going to fight over here. We might just carry on casting, blah, 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 and then we image. We're away from her. That's how you're going to survive first. That's when you'll reshield. Your second approach is to go image cloak. So we can go over here and we can cloak after the image. Third is to just play instantly in your cloak. But none of these are really going to work open world. And the reason they're not going to work open world is because you are not going to get the reliance of your cloak or your image. It's simply not going to happen, because if I place my image here and we're playing against a counter Zerg, which 90% of PvP is right now, we're going to get snared. We're going to be snared big time, or even going to be rooted. At that point, we're not going to be able to cloak because we're going to be in range them. They're going to instantly break our cloak and it's not going to work. Just going to break myself. Not going to see that. We can't cast image because it's just going to teleport us to ourselves. That's not doing anything. So at that point, we're going to use our final combination, which is to place our shield, misform away, and then two choices. Either rotate and instantly get away. So we're going to place misform, instantly weapon swap into cloak, and you can almost do that in a single transition. Or we're going to place an image down, misform away, cast our image, and then cloak. And that way you're going to keep space. You want to kite your opponents, come in for the kill. Happy days. I hope you enjoyed the build video, guys. I'm sorry for the long explanation on that. I think I've covered everything there. No, I did not. I missed one thing. No, I didn't. I did cover everything. Good. Hope it works out for you guys. It's complicated. It's going to be tough to find those Stygian weapons. But if you are an experienced MAGICKBLADE or want to get really top tier, I really think this build is good. Your survivability, very, very nice. Your kill chance, huge. Good luck, guys. If you want any advice, I'll really pay attention to the comments in this. I'll help people out who are in trouble. Any questions at all, fire it away. I will do my best to answer you. It's tough, but good luck, guys. Hope it works out, and enjoy the MAGICKBLADE. Remember the MAGICKBLADE name. They're not dead. We're going to rebirth them from here. Good luck, guys.